Okay, I've been looking around on the internet for a little while just to check up on how people have made tutorials on Pencil 2D, and a few of them are good and a few of them have not really explained what you really need to know. But here's what I have discovered in Pencil 2D. First, let's go over the brushes and all the settings up here on the tools bar. Trash basically just trashes the whole frame. Pencil is the pencil tool. I recommend using this as like sketching your ideas in the animation process. Then there's the eraser, which does the same thing. It erases a certain area. If you have a tablet like me, you have pen pressure applied. The harder you press, the more it removes. The selection tool. After selecting an area, you can adjust the selection tool into any shape, but it doesn't have any shape besides a square, which is sad. It would be good if there was a lasso tool. But then clicking this tool here, you can adjust the shape and move it around. You can translate the shape any way you want. Rotating it is another story. It is almost impossible to do that. Rotation in this program is hard. Then you have the pen tool, which is basically a line art tool. It is nice, it's smooth, but the tip and the ending sometimes end up having this sort of weird effect. There it is, right there, see? There's just a little bump. I did not make that. There it is again. Then you have the panning tool, where you can pan around the canvas. Simple enough. The line tool, which you can use to create lines. And how to stop it, you just double click and then it will stop continuously making lines. You can also activate these two, which I don't really see much of a difference at the anti-aliasing, which just makes it look a little bit nicer. Like it smoothens it out a little bit, kind of like how Photoshop and some other programs do. The paint bucket, which paints the whole canvas or anything that is within. The eyedropper tool, which selects the color and places it anywhere, so you can use it if you select this and then you take your pencil, which is shortcut keys N. It will also take that color. But notice how up here it doesn't change much, because here is like more of a secondary change. See? So for you to use this, you have to always have this activated. So I don't recommend you use the eyedropper tool much. Just make sure you know your colors well of whatever you're using, like note them down somewhere, like the hexadecimals and all. Then the brush tool, which is the one that I commonly use. But there is a few little problems with this. As you can see here, it creates dots of sort. I don't know if they fixed this problem yet, but it's been around for a while and I can't change it. And there's this one here, which is basically, yeah, I'm using a gray canvas right now. It's supposed to be white, but using this is supposed to be a smudge tool, and I don't really like how this is. Alright, let's move on to the options up here. It's just how you can change certain things on your brush. This could also be used as like the painting or actual final sketching tool, but I don't recommend you use that. And then move on to the display. Here it can be used to do certain things. Example, flip your canvas, well, flip the frame, but I normally think it just flips the image. Then this one just flips it horizontally. This one flips it vertically. Sorry, horizontally, vertically. These two are not aimed right now. I have never used them before. This one here allows you to see where the center of your camera would be looking at. Normally this would be nice for using for headshot looking. Like if you want to turn something and rotate it another degree, this would be a very good point to see like where the head would be in the position. Then you have the grid. You can use this just to help you think out like, oh, if I want someone to be here, it's easy to know where he is on the map, on the canvas. So later on when you're animating, you can tell, oh, he's here, I want him to move here. You can easily use this as a tool to see where it should be. You can use your mathematical equipment like your brain, think like of an angle that it can move at. Then there's this one, which is the same, but it's more centered. This one here just gives you a little bit of a spacing to determine, like, oh, you're getting a little too close to the side of the canvas, oh, you're very close, and then you're just there. This is best if you want to make sure whatever you want to see in the canvas has to be within a certain range. Now let's move on to the onion skin. Let's do this. The onion skin allows you to see the frame before and after. How you can do that is by enabling these two here. You can also enable if you want to see them in different colors, or you just want to keep them as the same colors from before, black and white, or if you colored. And you can also select the amount you want to see in the future or the past, forward and backward. I select 8 because it's normally what I use. For example, let's create a frame here, frame 1, of a circle. And on frame 2, there it is, but it is in red. And let's color that one as well. So, and if you go further in front, create a new frame, let's keep another circle. But what happens if we go back? It's a different color. You don't really see it, but it's more of a bluish color. You can edit this, I'm pretty sure, but you have to go into the codes and stuff, but I don't really want to go there. You can also change the opacity you want it to be at. Like if you want it to be very visible, you can increase it to maximum or lower. These two options, you don't really need to use them. And that's all about onion skin. Now, layers. There are bitmap layers, vector layers, and camera layer. The bitmap is basically the main area where you'll be using for anything, absolutely anything. Painting, brushes and stuff. But the vector layer is different. The vector layer, everything can be adjusted. But sadly, here in this layer, you cannot make everything. Here you can adjust certain things using the vector layer because every point in the pen can be adjusted and smoothen out. Here's an example. See? But it's not best using the vector layer. The vector layer is best if you want to make simple, sort of like those, how can I explain this? Animations for documentaries or advertisements. And it's best to use this layer. You have two buttons here, the positive and the negative sign, which is the adding and removing. You can add a layer. A sound layer is not added by default, but this is normally used to import audio. For example, there is import sound or movie audio. You can also import other things like images and whatnot, but we'll talk about that in the end. Sound. Choose the sound you want to import. I am going to my downloads and this one here. And now it is here in the frame. It's best to move this at the beginning. And let's listen to it.
Do not eat. Looks like I won't be eating this silica gel guy.
See, that was a meme I just created. Basically, you can import this and you can use it in your animation. You can also hear it.
Do not eat. Do not.
It works a little bit better than the Krita one because Krita's scrolling doesn't play very accurately. But this one, you can tell whenever he says something.
Do not eat.
Do not eat. So he says E at frame 15, and you can animate him saying eat. Now let's move on to the camera layer. This is the best thing to use because it actually smoothens out the animation. For example, if here you have a very close-up, very far distant view of whatever you're drawing, just a few frames after, you want to zoom in on this. You create a new frame or keyframe, and you basically zoom in. Make sure you're on that frame to do so. And now if you move back, it just zooms in. See? it zooms in on that frame. Now here you see, oh no, I don't want to see half of that. You can create another one and move it in the center, go here, and then it'll be here. Now if you go here, it will all be the same, but it's also going to animate the canvas location because the screen is going to change. Now let's move on to the color box. The color box just basically is a color picker. You can choose whatever color you want. You can also have here in the color inspector to change those values any way you want. RGB is a bit of a problem because, yeah, it doesn't give you the colors you exactly want, but it gives you around the colors that another display will have. But HSV is the best option since it gives you more capability and simplicity in terms of looking for the color you want. Here it just shows you in a larger screen the color you have picked, which I like this because sometimes you can't even see it properly on displays. Oh, before I forget, here in the timeline, you can also add, minus, or copy your frame. See this frame here, where the circle is up top? You can press this one to copy it right next to it, and you can just move it around. It's the same image. Yes, applying transformation. It's the same image, but you can do whatever you want to it. It's best if you don't want to waste time creating an animation over and over each other. Here's something that people haven't said about it, Pencil 2D, is that if you press right click, you can move it around. You can move the frames you have chosen. And I haven't heard anyone talk about this. You can press right click to move it around. Left click is just to select the type. If you press shift, you can select more. If you press central, it's also the same thing, kind of. You can only select up to a few amounts, but hey, still works. Then you have your first frame and last frame buttons, and also your play.
Not eat.
You can also use a loop function to just loop around. Just press it once and it will always loop. But it will loop through the whole audio and not the drawings. Here is the FPS, the frames per second you can select. Normally I animate in 12 frames or 6 frames. 6 frames is best for memes of sort. Then the range is basically where you want to start the animation, which is 1, weirdly it's supposed to start at 0. And then where it wants to end. I want to end this at frame 10, which is already there. But I can also end it at frame 12. And it will just cut the audio.
Do not.
See, it just cuts the audio because it stops there. This basically allows you to hear the audio.
Do not.
And this also does the same thing.
Do not.
But it's a little bit different. These options I've never played around to, but no text, frames, and such, no, I've never played with them. This shows how long or where you are in the frame. And that is basically Pencil 2D. To create your animations, it's pretty simple. It doesn't take very long. It's more of like a learning type of software where you just try to make a little something. And then after that, Pencil 2D just becomes like the, how can I say this, the beginner's guide to how to animate, because it has simple tool, it has a simple layout. I am sad that there's no black theme, but there are people that have created black themes and also have imported brushes from Core Painter, My Paint, like they've made plugins and sort for you to use those brushes, and you can also edit them as you want. But you have to find them in your own time. But this is just the basics of how to use Pencil 2D.